Hey, what is up? This is Jake Hofer with Exodus, and today we have a video format over podcast trail cam radio. It is with Doug Clark. He was on last week's episode of Whitetail Cribs. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, it is linked in the description below. In this podcast, we talk all about finding big bucks in northern Ohio and how Doug is consistently getting on them and killing them. So be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into the podcast.
Lights,
camera,
follow the trail.
ready to shoot.
If you know where a deer's bedding and you know where he's eating, that deer should be dead.
Camera.
If you're passive on a deer, what you're doing is you're teaching them.
I've got 30 bucks in the Michigan record book. Everyone but one has had at least one previous wound on his body. Some had as many as 4.
Trail Cam Radio from the guys at Exodus.
Okay, today is January 12th, 13th. We are January 12th, one day removed from the ATA, and on our travels, on the way back to Northeast Ohio, back to the office, we stopped and we were welcomed into the home of Doug Clark. So we're very grateful for the invite. I had the opportunity to record a Whitetail Cribs episode with Doug. Doug, avid bow hunter, longtime bow hunter, longtime Ohio resident, killed an absolute giant. 190-inch mainframe 10, just outstanding, once-in-a-lifetime deer.
Yes, I did.
26 3/4 spread.
Yeah, giant deer, which obviously we'll get into. But I guess first, what was a Whitetail Cribs experience like?
When I watched Whitetail Cribs on YouTube before I ever knew any of this, and was just blown away. I loved it that you go into the average guy, or maybe a guy who's doing a little YouTube work or whatever, like Last Breath and all that, and just to see normal people with their heads and what they're proud of, what size it is, and their experiences. Because if you're totally into whitetail hunting like I am, it's to your core. I can't get enough of it. I've got a video collection. I YouTube and everything all the time. It's just this Whitetail Cribs, and then to have them come to my house, I've been like on cloud 9 since I knew they were coming, and then the experience today of doing it and the filming has just been so badass, to say the least. And I'm proud. I've been doing this a long time, and to have them come and take the time to do this and showcase my house and some of the deer I've killed has just been an amazing experience, and I appreciate you guys doing it so much, and thank you to everybody that's involved in this. So
it was pretty cool because it was you almost got set up a little bit here. You would somehow stumbled upon the YouTube channel, started watching the Cribs, and then your significant other reached out, Debbie, and without you knowing.
Yep.
And I don't even think she knew we were in Ohio. And then
nope.
In a matter of a week, we had this thing lined up.
And when I found out that she did that, and then right away you guys responded pretty quickly. She had sent pictures and stuff, which I encourage you to do if you guys got a crib that you're proud of. I mean that's what this is all about, and it's networking and the Exodus cameras. The company's doing amazing things with this and their cameras, so this is a really cool experience for all of us. I mean, guys like us get on TV a little bit, have 15 minutes of fame. You guys take the time. This is just a really cool deal, and I encourage you, if you have a cool crib, get a hold of these guys. They're badass people. They're really cool to work with. So
a little bit before we got out here, we get a order come through on the store.
Yeah.
And the order is for 2 window decals for Exodus. And we're like, what in the hell? Why is someone trying to overnight window decals
That's
for
me.
$35?
Yeah, it was the shipping charge was like $30-some bucks.
We didn't know that because we had correlated the name Debbie.
Right.
So the order comes in, Doug Clark, and we call him, and we're like, hey, man, we'll just send you. You're in Ohio. These will be there in 2 days. You don't have to pay $35 for shipping. And then he's like, well, you guys are coming out or he said Whitetail Cribs is coming out on Sunday, and he's like, I just really love the brand, and I wanted to have some decals. And
yep.
We're like, yeah, we'll just bring them with you.
They saved me $35.
Yeah, we'll just bring them with us when we come out there. And that conversation that we had with you was just it was awesome for me.
Thank you.
And I like Jake was there too, and Jake's the founder of Whitetail Cribs.
Yeah.
I kind of took his view and finagled it a little bit, and you're like listening to you talk, and you're like the way you guys put it all together, talking about the editing and the footage, and that's all me. So like for hearing that from a viewer, just totally hammered home the whole vision for the whole Whitetail Cribs. So that was pretty cool on our end to hear how excited viewers are and the want to be on and be a part of it.
Well, like you said earlier when you came in, the people in my area or my group of hunting people, buddies, whatever, have seen my deer, and that's who sees it. This is a chance for me to spread out through you guys and show everybody my deer and talk about it a little bit and get my – I mean, it's just so proud to me to be able to have the chance to do it and show my stuff that deer hunting is just in me so hard, and it's my main thing. It's my only thing. I do it 12 months out of the year, whether I'm looking for the next spot, where I'm going to put a food plot, tree stand, put up a blind, whatever it is. And this is just to have this on something that you love so much. And I know there's more of me out there. There's a lot of guys. Everybody's ate up with this stuff. And then to kill a deer of a lifetime this year and then to have you guys come. And I wish I had my full body mount already, but this is just a really cool experience all the way around.
We could definitely, from the very beginning, tell the passion that you have for whitetail hunting. It's evident in all the success, you have some really good deer, some giant deer, very unique mounts.
And guys, the displays that this guy is
building. The displays are super, super cool.
They're so unique, and they're not just they're more than just unique. They're
part of the story of that specific deer.
Like for the wood that is from the same farm that you killed the deer on, or
fence posts, the barn wood.
Yeah, the license that's on the deer. The shed that you found from the buck that you killed is in the display.
A leaf and rock with blood like part of the blood trail built into them, like the displays.
It's so unique.
Yes.
Well,
such a great way to showcase it.
My grandkids or my family later on, when I'm older or gone, I want to be able to, them to walk over to that and go, hey, my grandpa or my friend, or I can remember when. I mean, and there's a lot of history right there, and you hang it on the wall, it's great. I'm not saying that, but I tried to go the next step for me, just that whole rustic of the barnwood and the fence post, and I think it adds a different life, and I hope you guys like it out there and use it, try it. It's easy to do. There's old fence posts everywhere. Old farmers go ask them and get it, and take the time, make it your own creation. And I hope that my name is behind it, that, hey, I remember seeing that on this.
Absolutely.
And I just think it's another proud moment for me.
Well, I think that helps, when non-hunters or anti-hunters, I guess, when they look at mounts, they automatically think, well, you're just a trophy hunter. Like that's the only reason that you go out and hunt and kill big deer is to hang them on your wall. And that's not really what you're doing. You're trying to preserve a memory, preserve a story. And by you taking those bits and pieces, whether that's a fence post from that specific farm and the leaf with the blood droplet on it, that ties all that in together and makes it so much more impactful, makes the memory so much more vivid, the story, and
you show so much more respect to that animal.
Yeah,
100%.
All those details to showcase him in the best possible way, in the best light possible. You're not displaying them with blood all over their mouths and arrows stuck in their side.
No.
And it's not. It's much more than that.
White-tailed deer to me, I have more respect for them than some humans. It's just they are an amazing animal.
Hey, we're right there with you, probably.
I mean, they are. They're an amazing animal, and their will to live and their will to survive. I mean, and to get a mature buck that's lived on it, think about what a buck has to go through in 5 years, 6 years. How many cars, how many times he's been encroached on, who's walked in his area. I mean, if a buck walked in my living room, I'm going to know he's here. When you go out in their living room, he knows you're there. And then to beat him at the game of the whole experience of trying to, figure out what he's doing, where he's at, and then get him and beat his nose and get in a tree and throw an arrow through him. It's such a challenge, and it's such a rewarding thing. And then the respect I want to give that deer afterwards is just it. To me, I love whitetail and I respect them, and I respect everybody's opinion. But it's you take your kids hunting, you won't be hunting for your kids, and it's good clean fun. And if we don't kill these deer, they'll kill themselves through starvation or whatever else. So people need to look at it in all different lights. You know, everybody's got their opinion.
Guys, when this guy says that he loves whitetails, if you could see his tattoos, you'll see on the video portion of this.
Yes.
Arrows, skulls, antlers, like eat, sleep, breathe whitetails.
Yep.
Pretty awesome to see.
I grew up as a poor farm boy. We never had much, and my dad took me hunting the first time. The way he took me hunting was we had a groundhog problem on the barn banks, and so we put a 22 through some boards, and I shot a groundhog. Well, from that experience, I loved the whole challenge of the sneakiness and the figuring it out and whatever, and it just grew into the deer hunting. And back then there wasn't the YouTubes and all the things to learn from. So even my dad, he never went hunting with me anymore, but I got such a passion for it that I just wanted to find this video or something here and talk to this guy that's deer hunted and just figure it all out. And it's just been that. It's never gotten old to me. So and heck, I'm gonna be 58 next month, and it's just 40 years of my life just deer hunting, you know. I love it. So
you talked about your dad a little bit, maybe being a non-hunter, not spending as much time in the whitetail woods. But, as we were touring your home, you do have some family heritage or hunting heritage in your family. There was a photo from, was it the 30s?
33.
1933 of your
My
grandfather.
grandpa.
You didn't talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, he had the passion to go hunting, and he used to tell his grandpa stories about how he would go track a deer and do it in a circle, because they'd always do a circle before they lay down. So if you followed their tracks, you would get downwind from them sometime. And so that's kind of I was just going by that kind of stuff when I first started this. And, and then for him to do his own taxidermy work back then, 33, I mean, there was none of this that we know now. So, and then to have a picture of him by his mounts, and it's just a really cool picture, one I cherish really deeply. So, yeah, I mean, and my dad, we were busy farming and everything, so he really didn't get into the woods. And I used to have to take the groundhog tails home because my dad wouldn't believe that I killed 6 groundhog that night, or so it was like he wouldn't. If I just go home and say I killed 6, they'd know you didn't. So I started carrying the tails home and going here. So.
That's good.
That's pretty funny stuff. So at what point did you pick up a archery tackle, I guess? At what point did you start archery hunting?
It was 90, I think. Actually, a buddy of mine, Scott Burns, he actually works at Pentair with me, and I blame him for spending thousands of dollars on deer hunting too. So he had an old Browning bow, which in the Whitetail Cribs, if you watch it, I've got the bow hanging up there on a tree, but he had an old Browning bow like that, and we were up looking to go deer hunting, and he goes, I always thought I'll just gun hunt, because everybody does that. It hasn't shot a bow. They're getting intimidated by it or whatever. Well, I can still remember where we were standing, and I pulled this bow back that wasn't mine, and he's like, just over here. It was only 15-yard shot, and I shot that bow, and from that moment on, it was like, holy crap. I had go to the fin, get my bow, and I mean, I just went crazy shooting the bow, and then I probably had, every rendition of bows until I settled into Hoyt not long after that, and then whatever new Hoyt bow come out, they used to make fun of me at work because they'd say, what, your last year's Hoyt bow couldn't kill a deer, so you had to go buy another new Hoyt bow. But it just, that's the way that it, and I just got ate up with the whole bow hunting compound, and then having the challenge of getting the deer close enough, and then where do you draw your bow back, making the right shot, making an ethical shot, and it just turned into that whole obsession that it is today. It was long ago.
One of the cool things, and I don't know that it'll ever be replicated in Whitetail Cribs, but one of the coolest things that we've seen inside your home was the DVD and VHS, like VHS. So if anyone is listening to this podcast that doesn't know what a VHS is, it's an 8x4
tape player
piece of
plastic
that actually has video on film that you put into a VCR and actually play it. It spins. It's kind of wild that I'm actually even explaining
I was just gonna
this.
say, I cannot believe that we're explaining this. But.
Yeah, it feels a little bit odd. Even DVDs, but the collection. I mean, you have a 300 tape DVD collection, a lot of educational stuff. And you were telling us that's how you were obsessive about watching them and trying to learn things, whether that was Dan Fitzgerald, the Juries, the Kiskies,
Yep.
Whoever you were watching. So
yeah, I mean, back in the day, Tom Miranda did these first videos that he did, and he would do things like, you see a whitetail sign on the side of the road, and it's for whitetail crossing. If you're looking for land to go ask on, they've already done some of the work for you, because there's a sign there, and the state won't put a sign there unless there's a great number of crossings there that deer have gotten killed. So that's a good place to start. So little things like that, watching the deer's language, the body language of a deer. And people say, "What, he watched so much of that back in the day?" I mean, that would be my night. Get a pizza and sit there and watch deer hunt videos. The reason I did is because every deer hunt, no matter whether you've watched it 100 times on whatever channel, when that deer comes in, he has a body language about him. They got a sixth sense. Is he on the alert? Did he catch that guy? Is he look at him out of the blue for no reason and the guy was down, had his wind right and everything? Was he on alert all the time? And I'm always watching the deer's body language and learning, and it was just part of something I love to do.
So which I guess piece of media in that collection, like what pieces stand out to you?
The Dan Fitzgerald stuff back in the day was, he had a corn crazed whitetail and the passing through. Just the way that he would set up, you could learn. In corn crazed whitetail, he does a lot of talking about hunting in a cornfield and how you can go from row to row, or just lots of things with Dan Fitzgerald got me going. But then, like Drury, when they came on strong, I mean, they have brought so many people into this industry, and I've watched, and either you like somebody when you first watch them or you don't, and with them, it was like they were your brother. Not that I've ever met them or anything, but they're really cool guys, and you can tell it when Mark and Terry, they shoot a deer, they're so passionate about it. I like the passion with people. You can tell whether it's through and through really deer hunting, or it's just they're doing it for money or whatever. And Dan Fitzgerald, and even Realtree, whatever everybody wants to say, those guys are true deer hunters. Michael Whitetail, I mean, I've watched him from he was a little kid, getting started with Dan Fitzgerald, or with Bill Jordan, and to where he is today with his own show. So there's so many people in the industry that I know their history from watching all the videos or watching them. I could tell you where Jay Gregory and Tammy got their start from, Drury's, and Don Kitsky and his wife. So there's so much history there to know all the people in the industry and what they're about. And I have levels of where I think that are they doing it for this or that or the whatever. But it just kept me going just to watch it. And even I haven't mentioned anything about it, but Primo, I mean, Will Primo, true hunter. Good old boy. I've never met him, but through the video, I feel like I know him. Brad, that works for him, has worked for him forever. I just feel like I know those guys through the videos, and they're just true hunters. It's a cool thing, and then for them to be able to do what they love, making their calls and stuff, and having an industry and something I could dream of having, being in my job of going, selling his calls or doing videoing or whatever. I mean, it isn't for everybody, but a guy like me, it's my world. So
it's pretty cool. That DVD collection and the VHS collection is to you what my YouTube is.
Yep.
Like I'm a self-taught bow hunter. You're a self-taught bow hunter.
Yep.
You learn from watching other people do it, and without having someone to go with or someone to teach you that's what you have to rely on. You have to rely on all your resources. I am lucky in the fact that your 300 videos, mine's millions.
Yep.
So I can learn. But to go through all of that, I correlate. I would, if I was in your shoes back then, like that's the passion that I feel.
Yep.
That's something that I would have had to have done. Go watch VHS videos and rewind. And, what was that? I missed something.
Yeah.
And watch it back and forth and just pick up on different things that these guys are doing. And that's what I'm doing with, like, now your Drury's and your Team Fitzgerald. Like, that's my hunting public.
Yep.
Like, that's Chris B.
And I watch them now. The hunting public, Chasing November, all them guys, Last Breath. I mean, that's my new. Now I can just turn the remote on and watch my DVDs and whatever you'd say, and watch you guys. So this is a really cool thing, and the cribs and all that. It's just another aspect. No, we're not looking at a hunting video with the cribs, but you're looking at something that has to do with deer hunting, and you're watching normal guys display their deer and be proud of what they've done. Everybody's proud of their deer. Everybody can tell you where they were when they killed that deer. So to get on a platform like this and do this is amazing.
Another thing that's cool about that we've talked about is the guys that are getting it done consistently are so meticulous and so particular about how they do things. And we came in here and like if you're watching cribs correctly, you can pick up on things that different guys are doing.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh wow, your fridge.
Yeah.
All the cans are turned in one direction. They're stacked correctly. Like when you live like that, you're gonna practice how you preach. You're going to hunt in that way.
Yep.
So everything's going to be super meticulous, super particular. And you can pick up on things from watching this that, like, oh, maybe I need to pay more attention to X. So that's another cool thing to kind of consider when you're watching these videos. Like, take a look in this guy's fridge. And then think of what he can be doing in the whitetail woods.
Right, and I mean, all of us know that the nose on a whitetail is his best defense. So I'm telling you, if you don't have your wind right on a whitetail, you're never going to kill him. And yeah, we have the scent blockers and all the suits and the ozonics and all that, and they all work. I'm just saying though that you got to be your entrance to your stands, how you smell, what the wind direction is, how hard you're hunting that deer. Are you in his core area? Are you in his bedding area? Are you close to his bedding area? Where is he feeding? It changes when they're in the bachelor groups and going to the single and all that. That's what I say, that when you live it, it's not like Monday morning of gun season. I go out and I hope somebody runs a deer by me. It's all those things that I just said that you put together because of the passion. It's the love. If I didn't have to work, watch out deer, because my job gets in the way of a lot of that. But that's what's the coolest thing about it is once you put it all together, and you have horrible days. I can go days without seeing a deer, or I may eat a tag that year because I didn't get the particular deer that I wanted. But the reward from the peaks and the valleys of it are when you kill a deer like I did this year, to do that and pull it off. I couldn't be prouder to share it with you guys, and let alone the world out there that wants to see it. It's just an amazing feeling. I get goosebumps that you guys were coming today to do this. So I appreciate this so much, and I want you to know it.
So let's talk a little bit about that 2019 deer. We mentioned, it's 190-inch deer, 26 and some odd eighth-inch inside spread, just a giant mainframe 10 that you've had 4+ years of history with. So,
and we're in Northeast Ohio.
Yes.
We're not in southern Iowa. We're not in Kansas. This is a hard area to hunt.
Yep.
It's a hard area to kill big deer. They're not around every tree.
Nope.
Like, just because it's Ohio, Northeast Ohio is a hard state to get it done in. So for you to kill a 190-inch deer,
and I don't own thousands of acres. Okay, I mean I own 5 acres here, and then there's 300 acres of state land. But that deer, I mean, truly, when I say 4 years, it's not a bullshit thing. I can back it up. And when I first saw that deer, he was big, and I estimate that deer to be 7 to 8 years old. And when I first saw him, that's when the obsession for that deer. And I didn't think I was going to kill him. It had been 4 years later, and every year I would have camera of him, and I have him on videotape, which I never even talked about in Cribs. My little camera up there, I have him sparring with another deer. I've been all over this deer, literally all over this deer, and could never connect. And one time I had him at 20 yards, and the minute he walked into my shooting lane where I could have shot him, it's like he had that sixth sense that I talked about, and he bolted for no reason. I had the wind right, I was perfect, and all the things that I tell you, like on that other deer, where when I set a tree stand up, I knew he was going to come down this waterway. I know enough to put my tree stand on the backside of the tree, hug the tree, and have my bow ready and not move until the point of you need to draw that bow. I do all those things, but that's what's so challenging about him, that he catch me, but I could get him on video. So it started then. I saw him 4 years ago, and he was big then to me. I would have probably shot him, and what a shame it would have been because of what he did turn into. But to your point, around here, killing 140, 50-inch deer is, with a bow, to me, I've always said, if I can kill 130 to 50-inch deer with my bow every year, I've done my job,
doing
you know.
it, yeah.
So
You're doing good.
and not owning 1,000 acres that I can manage and make sure everybody's staying off of. So, and thank you to all the people that have let me hunt on their property over the years. I should have said that a long time ago. And you know, they don't understand how much it means to be able to go on their property. So with this deer, I seen him, and he was on other properties, and I knew that other guys knew about him, and I was aware that they knew about him.
How big is the property that you are allowed to hunt?
40 acres.
So you're hunting 40 acres, and so you're surrounded by a couple other small farms that other guys are hunting the same deer.
Yes.
Okay.
And one was, I mean, butted right up to it, and they knew all about him. So it was just, I with everything that him being nocturnal, you know, visions of him and not being able to get him, and then knowing other guys, I just figured it was going to be one of them ones where, you know, every year I always said after doing this for so long, and I'm proud of my deer, but it was like, when am I going to get my deer of a lifetime? You know, maybe I was going to pass away and never have it, but I figured he's just going to, somebody else will get him, and I'm going to drool over him in the paper and like somebody else. But it ended up, you know, following him year by year, getting the camera pictures, but very few sightings every year. I mean, I would get close to him and at very little daylight. And then I even one year got cameras taken because I spread out a little bit, that was land that I could still go on, but I wasn't hunting it. And I put a camera in a way that I thought he was traveling to a bedding area, because it was back in a secluded area where nobody was going, and trying to figure out where and how he was going. Got some of my cards taken out of my camera, so I knew somebody else was trying to do the same thing, and they didn't take my camera, but they took the cards. So then I was like,
almost worse.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It was bad, but and I just kept after him, and I could have really nice deer walk under me, and I just wouldn't shoot him because I knew he was there. I knew he could come out at any time, and that's a hard thing to do, but it was just the same thing almost every year. Well, this year I was showing them, I had trail camera pictures on the 25th of October. He showed up at 9:13 at night, and that was my, like, okay, he's really getting active in this field now. And then on the 27th, and I have the pictures on my phone, at the exact same time, 9:13, he shows up almost identically in the same spot in the field, and I'm thinking, okay, it's night, I can't shoot him at 9:13, but where's he coming from? I got the direction of where he was coming from. What's he doing now? And I'm trying to think ahead of where this is at. And I went into that field, and I've hunted that field, thinking, what's the best possible place that he would come out if he just started come out in daylight? And me, when I hunt, I usually think, I always go from October 23rd to the 15th of November as my prime window, okay? I always take vacation. I call it rut vacation. I took it this year starting the 1st. That would be a Friday, starting the 1st. And I always think maybe I'm a little bit early, because Bill on Chasing November and all them, they like the 7th. And most deer get bred at this time, you know. So I'm thinking maybe I'm a little early, but I've always had good luck around Halloween or right there at the end of October, because the deer will get amped up. I call it hound dog syndrome. I always say there's 3 days of hound dog syndrome, and it's right when the first doe's getting ready to come in, and you'll see a buck just walking, and they're just dying. Their necks are swelled up. They're just dying to get with the doe and breed them. So I think those 3 days are usually my favorite. And I literally started my vacation on Friday, November 1st, thinking, okay, I got all next week. Probably more towards the end of next week will be better. And it happened that Friday night, I'm hunting, and
So the first day of your
the
vacation.
first day of my vacation, which even makes it better, because I even hunted the rest of my vacation after I settled and come back down to earth, just to see what was in the crop for next year, to see what's going to be out there during the rut, because that's when you see your most deer. That big deer get on their feet because the girls get them going. So I killed him on November 1st it was like 6:30 in the evening. He came out. There was 3 does that come out 80 yards in front of me and came over in front of me. And I'm like, oh, man, this is good. And so then out of the blue, right to the right of me, here comes this doe, and she was trotting out the place where I'd said where I thought he would come out if he did. And here he comes right behind her, and I just about fell out. I mean, literally watching a deer of that caliber on his feet. I mean, he looks big there, but when he's alive and he's coming and following that doe, and then he circled all the does. So he has 4 does, and he's coming around giving me the shot, okay? I'm literally like, I just got $1 million lottery ticket right here in front of me. I mean, I couldn't contain myself. It was crazy. 30 yards, shot him. He went down, and it was a little bit high. He went down, and I thought, oh, my God, and I'm trying to reload. And he did get back up, and he had his back legs were hurting, and he got about 100 yards in the woods and expired over there. And it was just, when I walked up to that deer, I already knew he was big from all the pictures and all the history and watching him on video and everything else. But to walk up on a deer that you know, everybody knows that after you make that shot and you know that you got him, then that fun time of, you got to get down and go over to see him. I wish somebody could have videotaped me at going to that recovery because literally, I mean, you would have swore I was 6 and Santa Claus just showed up at my house, and I don't know how to describe it, what I was, but I was crazy, and the adrenaline in my body was so. I think that's why, guys, we all do it, is for that feeling, that rush, that accomplishment and everything. So that's pretty much the history of that deer, and I will never, ever probably do that again, but I'm proud to have done it once, you know.
Let's rewind a little bit and talk about the strategy behind the hunt. So you being self-taught, why did you said you picked out a spot that you thought that he would most likely come into that field in daylight. What did that look like? Where was he coming from?
Okay.
Like, why did you pick that spot?
Well, it's a beautiful setting, and I have pictures of it. There's a creek that runs through there, and on the backside of the creek, you're not allowed to hunt, but it's like just nasty thick. And this field that I'm hunting, literally the backside has like this like finger that goes deeper into the field, back into that. So I always have figured that back corner, back in the thicket on the backside of the creek, if he's going to come out, he's most likely going to be back in there, especially daylight hours. So I concentrated back there in that area mostly, and I don't want to overhunt it too. So I know enough about that too, is that you can burn a stand out. But that year, last year when I did this, his scrapes also told me a lot too, because I could tell, I figured where his bedding area was mostly, and the way this year was different about how the scrapes were. That's why I was hunting that corner too, because usually he hadn't made a scrape line up along the tree line here, and then it went back and circled, and then the field went out. There was always scrapes over here. But another thing to this story too is that there was some more buildings and stuff that had went up, and I thought that's going to pressure him more towards me where I'm at now. So with that, not knowing exactly what that did to him, because that got built in the summer, and then with the scrape line that I was catching, and they were tore up early, and I'm like, man, I was getting excited, and then I put that trail camera up and got those pictures that I showed you. That's when I started just putting all the puzzles, and he was nocturnal at that time in them pictures, but I thought, if he's going to come out, maybe be late in the evening, this would be my best bet for now. So I'll try it, and that's what I went with, and luckily it worked.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think there's the one thing that really jumped out to me in that story is, you get a picture, 2 pictures of that deer. You get a big deer on trail camera. A lot of guys are like, oh my God, look at this picture, giant deer. They get so obsessed with the picture and how big the deer is, they don't ask themselves the questions: why, where did he come from, why is he there, what time, where's his bed, what's his travel route. Asking yourself those questions is ultimately probably what led you to going back to that spot in that inside corner with security cover and that scrape line to get set up and kill that deer.
And it's just, and luck's in there too, and I'm not better than anybody else at this. It's just the passion that you talked about earlier. I think that if you want it bad enough, and it's not going to happen, even a 150-inch deer, you're not going to beat him if you don't play the game. It's not really the size of the rack. A mature deer is a mature deer. And if you don't do you can get lucky and go out gun season and kill a deer, either a deer drive or whatever. But if you're literally going to go into his living room, so to speak, be quiet, your entry to it, get him to come on his terms, come to you, and then shoot him. You just, if you think about it, if there's a new young hunter out there watching this or whatever, you can do it. Everybody can do it. You just have to put the time in, and you're going to get discouraged. You're going to have defeats. You may have a lot of defeats. The defeats are probably far greater than the success.
What you learn from it.
But if you keep plugging, I'm just an average dude. I mean, you keep plugging. And you young hunters just keep at it and be passionate about it. Learn as much as you can through YouTube and whatever. You'll get it. And if you get the right, you got to have the deer there first too. I mean, that's part of it. But you find enough areas, knock on enough doors, and just keep at it, and you'll do all right.
One of the cool things too is seeing the progression. Like as you were telling us all these stories of these different deer, and when there's 110-inch deer in here.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of 150, 140-inch deer, 160-inch deer, and the 190-inch deer. And as you're going through and telling us, all these different stories, it seemed to me like just in the past 4 to 6 years, like you're finding a specific deer to go hunt that one specific deer. And I think a lot of times when new hunters or young hunters, they hear that they automatically think, okay, well, I need to go find a deer to hunt. And there's a big difference between deer hunting mature deer, and then hunting a specific mature deer. And I think a lot of times guys, they need to go through that process and evolve as a hunter.
Well, like the Hunting Public show. I watch it. If you guys watch that, hope I'm allowed to give perks to the show. But
absolutely.
The Hunting Public show, those guys, they don't agree with maybe getting onto a particular deer, but they're doing it the hard way. They're going into an area where it could be several pressure. They're going in on the ground. They're doing every tactic known to man. But they're still doing what I'm saying in a sense, but they're being more aggressive and they're doing their own thing, and they could kill the 150-inch deer because either they're canoeing in somewhere where there's no pressure, or people are lazy and won't do it. That's that effort thing you put in. And if you do go to the route of that you're going to pick a particular deer, it's a commitment, and you better be ready if you're going to do it, because it's not easy. And I'm not saying, I can do it next year or whatever. I could fail next year. But that's always my goal now, is to scout, get a deer on camera, and figure out what he's doing, and then try to hone in. And when I say hone in, I'm saying set your tree stands up in the best area you can, stay out of there, and then when you start hunting him, okay, he came out 300 yards over here in the field and you saw him come out. Can I move in there? Why did he come out there? Is he going to move here? And do that whole chess game of figuring it out. And that's that puzzle thing, putting it all together.
Yeah.
So speaking of next year, do you have your target picked out?
I do not. I have a pretty good one that I've seen after I hunted. I was going hunting without even a bow in my hand, just to hunt, to see if I could see, because like I said, the best time to see the big bucks is during the rut. So I saw a pretty good one. He was probably a 140-inch deer. Whether he grows a little bit and he makes it, that's another thing, Is he going to get hit by a car? Is he going to make it? That's the whole, and is he still alive when you're hunting him? I mean, there's so many unknowns. That's what makes it so rewarding when you do get to do it.
When you went through the 4-year chess game with that deer that you just killed, what were you doing with your trail cameras to find his core area? How did you know that you were getting close to him?
Well, and you bring up another subject that I tell guys or whatever, I love trail cameras. I think they're awesome, but you have to be careful with trail cameras. And I know with the new cellular things, if you're not going to do the cellular internet, or where you can get it on your phone or whatever, you have to be careful how much you go in there and check them cameras and what you do. Cameras are awesome, and they'll tell you a lot. I mean, the technology there is amazing. But when I move cameras around, it's pretty much where I think he's coming, get as close to what I think or call a bedding area, so to speak, and get as close to that bedding area as I can, and then figure out his movement from there. And I may move the camera 80 yards one way. 80 yards can make all the difference in the world. And when I went in there this year, there was a tree stand that I had up that I could have hunted this deer out of, but I had put another tree stand up. That this year I hadn't been successful in that tree stand, but it was in a great spot. But he literally this year had tore it up with scrapes around this thing in that back corner, what I was talking about. And I was like, okay, I'm on to this dude now. He has got to be hitting that. So that's why I put the camera on the scrape. He's coming to a scrape there at that camera. And that's when I knew, okay, he's alive for one. He's still here. He's bigger than ever. And now, hopefully, to God, I can hone in on him before somebody else gets him.
That's a very good point that you just made about getting that scrape picture at night.
Yep.
A lot of guys talk about what scrapes to hunt, where to hunt, and I think it was Dan Infault that might have said it. He was like, if I'm running a trail camera on a field edge on a scrape, I don't care when it is. If he is there at night, at least I know he's alive and I know he's around.
Exactly.
So that gave you the picture like, all right, I know this deer's here. I'm getting close. Now I just need to figure out how to get him in the daylight.
And when you guys put your Exodus cameras out, the thing you do off that camera, yeah, you want that picture or the video. That's the main thing. But turn the camera different directions. Find out which way is that deer coming at that camera and what time's he coming. So if that's a big field, how long did it take him to work away across that field? And what time did it get light at that time, that day? And do all that work. And you get him consistently. Like I had him at the same time 2 days. So you could figure if it got dark at 7 o'clock, okay, what time did he actually get out of his bed and where was he then? You can almost figure out where he was sleeping at that time or narrow it down pretty good because there's only so many other areas of bedding area back there, you know.
Yep.
So that's something to think about. And I'm not an expert or perfect at it. I'm just saying that's the kind of mindset that I do when I do it.
Do you think, I mean, we get to go around and interview and talk with a lot of industry folks, guys who are killing big deer on a consistent basis. And Cameron brought this up earlier, is how meticulous you are in the way you live your life and that translating into deer hunting. But you've kind of absorbed all this industry information back from starting in the late 80s. So you've seen this thing progress as far as content for 30 plus years. What are the common traits that you've kind of picked up and seen with guys that are killing big deer, like, you know, the juries who've been doing it forever, Kiski and Dan Fitzgerald, and, you know, what are some of the things that common traits, I guess, is what I'm asking for.
Well, with Dan, one thing about Dan was he wasn't necessarily a big deer killer. Now, would he have loved to kill big deer? Yes, he did. But he was more of he had a Weekend Warrior video out and stuff. But what I see in the other guys like the Lee and Tiffany and Drury and like Bill with the Chasing November, some of them guys have the money or the means to have, and they're doing it. You have to have the money, you have to whatever. They're doing it the right way, don't get me wrong. But some of them do have farms in primo whitetail areas and be able to do that. And don't take nothing from them guys. They are diehard hunters and great at it, and I love to watch them. So to me, I like to watch a real thing. And I love to see, I love getting in a blind, like a redneck blind, and watch a hunt out of a blind. But I love to still see the whole, like the new thing is the camera above the guy in the tree stand, and then the camera that the guy's either got on his bow or whatever. To me, I'm ate up with that on YouTube now. It's like I still love the whole idea of just being beside a tree and doing it that way. And so I guess when I watch a lot of this, I like still getting in the tree stand and still, you know, those guys from Dan and all the way through, it's been more of the blinds are becoming more and more popular, which all of us creature comfort, you know. So if you can do it and have the land to do it, I guess it's great. But
yeah, I would agree with all that. Well, as we're going 40 plus minutes here, we've probably taken up the majority of your day.
Oh, that's
good. I know you've been pumped anyways, but is there anything else, any questions or anything else you want to add, Cameron? Anything else we need to extend this with?
No, I don't. I think we covered his tactics, covered his passion, talked about what's next, and we're definitely going to be following along, see how things progress with you. I can't wait to see that full body mount deer.
Can't wait to show you.
Yeah, I think there might be a second trip.
Anytime. You guys come turkey hunting, whatever you want to do. So
yeah, and definitely keep tabs on, your 2020 season, how that plays out into 2021. Because this isn't, we talk about one deer here.
Yep.
But you have a house full of success stories on.
Oh, he's doing it, yeah.
Yeah, doing it on a consistent, regular basis. And as you said, that doesn't mean maybe that you're going out and killing Boone and Crockett deer every single year, because there are years you're going to eat a tag when you're hunting, mature deer, especially in the area that we're in. It's not easy in Northeast Ohio.
It's not.
A lot of people see giant deer coming from Ohio and they think a lot like Iowa, like big deer around every tree, and it's not the case. I mean, we have a hard time getting on a 130-inch deer where we are.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I joked around Chad yesterday telling people that I'm going to start telling people that I'm from Pennsylvania. Because when I say Ohio, they expect me to be killing giant deer all the time.
Right.
Like, listen, guys, I'm from PA.
And, guys, another point that we need to make here, too, is the hunting has turned into that either you have to lease property or whatever. It's getting harder and harder to go knock on doors and get a farm. And usually if you go to a farmer and he lets you hunt, he's the kind who lets 20 people hunt. Yeah. So that's a whole nother puzzle of the success when you do it. Finding them little niches, them little out of the place areas, and then asking for permission and getting in there. It's a hard thing to do, and that's why the hunting public's been so successful, because it's public land, and then they do all the work of going into the nasty places and getting it done, and it's so amazing to watch them guys do that. So you just got it. You can't give up. Either you want it or you don't, and at every level, whether it's coming up with the money to buy the bow, the clothes, practicing with that bow is all part of it. What kind of broadheads, doing your research on what you like, what works for you. The whole gamut of, like that 3D target thing I have. Practice your quartering away, know your vitals on your deer, knowing the angles of your deer when you draw your bow. You just have to just absorb yourself with all that information and watch what you can watch, and then the asking property, and then the hunt, and the whole story. It's just an amazing journey, and if you do it and you love it, there's nothing much better on earth. It's one of them great things. So I can't thank you guys enough for all of this. I mean, I'm forever grateful. I'm truly passionate and love it, and this moment, this day to me, means more to me than you guys know. So thank you for your time and everything you guys did.
Thank you. I do have one more thing to say. If you have listened to this podcast and you think that we were talking to Cameron Haynes the whole time, drop a comment. 'Cause I'm filming the Cribs episode, and he's talking, and I'm thinking, like, who does he sound like? And then it hit me, and I looked at my camera. I was like, oh my God, like I'm not even paying attention. I'm trying to think of who he sounds like, and then I heard Cameron Haynes, and I was like, whoa. So if you guys are thinking the same thing I'm thinking, leave us a thumbs up, drop a comment below, because it's freaky how much he sounds like Cameron Haynes.
He's a good guy to be compared to, so I'm good.
Yeah, that's a gold standard for sure. But again, we can't thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate the hospitality, inviting us in the house.
Yes, sir.
Got ourselves a couple of Reese's, mini Reese cups, which I guess is a staple in this household.
Yeah.
So yeah, we appreciate it. We're excited to see, excited about the Cribs episode. We see the passion and the fire in you, and I don't think that we could have said it any better. But it truly is your life.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
So until next time.